You get it figured out then.
Yeah, I just wanted to check it on my phone.
For culture. Stop chit chatting with me the other day.
Huh?
Stop chit chatting with me the other day.
You check it. I don't mind talking.
If you was in the barn, but here it comes with your dog.
Oh, he's in house.
So you don't put him in the barn with you?
No,
Oh, that's him, yeah, that's some chit chat.
no, I keep
Scared
him.
that dog eat.
I keep him tied up for that very reason.
You know, you showing pictures of a friend of mine that hit her on the tag.
Oh yeah.
I think he did you. Thoughts to see what put in the barn with you? Oh, that's the
Jesus.
Oh, I keep scared that dog.
You gotta see the lips in my
tied up.
that area.
Inside? Never seen this.
He's not yet. Oh, Lord, through hell.
So he doesn't ride around with you no more?
Yeah, I just don't. I don't leave him. What happens? He gets frustrated and he gets like the other day at the Vassar, I parked my truck that had another dog in it. And I was only in there 5 minutes. And he just tore the shit out of stuff. He just goes crazy over other dogs. For some reason. I don't know what his problem is.
Right. Hey, Henry. This is guys also. Thanks. Thank you.
What's this all about?
Mm.
Meeting in order, roll call. Maskey. Here. Fletcher.
Here,
Here. Here, we're on. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Did you guys have time to review the minutes? Or review the agenda, I mean, did everybody look at the agenda when they got here?
Yeah.
yeah. Looked at it a couple of times.
No motion that we approve the agenda as it is.
You making a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Good. Yes.
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 Now, did you guys all look at the minutes? and Read them over? Yep. You had a chance to read those? Okay.
Yes, I did.
On the back, number 2, the last page, B. This- Because 2 people abstain, this motion passed.
No, per,
I know what you're talking about now. Okay.
We don't need a majority of the board.
you do,
We do, but no.
The
we
other
don't.
two, the other two guys abstained.
They abstained, that means they're not in the room.
Right. I'm saying.
So we only needed a majority of the 3 to pass this. If it moves forward and we accept an ordinance,
Mhm.
then we need a majority of 5.
but if you read the actual motion, and the motion was to accept the ordinance as written. So we were,
Public hearing.
no, it said public hearing and accept the ordinance as written. So we were actually voting on the ordinance. And to me, it's anything to do with an ordinance should have majority. That's according to
According to MTA.
M2A.
Right.
It's, and if
If
you're voting on anything
we-
to change an ordinance, it needs to have majority of the
When
board.
we voted on the wording, we accepted the ordinance as written. To move to public hearing. We weren't voting on the ordinance. We were voting on the wording to move forward. Now, did you call MTA? And ask them?
I mean, it was right in the book.
I
What I
called
got
and asked. They said you need majority of the 3 that voted and 2 abstain.
But that ain't the wording.
Once you approve the amendment, then you're voting on an ordinance. We voted on wording.
So if we'd had 4 guys vote, it still would have went with majority. But because, so what if 3 guys would have abstained? Just the 2 remaining guys would have said yes or no?
No, because you don't have quorum.
No, yeah, or-
Oh,
You have to have 3 to be a quorum.
So. Okay. So this needs to be changed.
I guess I did not, do you have something in writing from MTA on that?
No.
Because I'm going with the book. And what I provided this board is, what I provided this board was the actual wording out of the book. Okay, that said that if you're voting on an ordinance amendment, which would be even voting for a meeting, anything to go with it. And we actually said in the ordinance, in the motion, that we're voting to approve the wording to move forward.
Correct. That's what we were voting on, the wording.
Which is an ordinance amendment.
No. We didn't, is that ordinance now active?
But we were voting on the wording
No,
for
no. Is it now active?
it. No,
Okay, we weren't voting on an ordinance. We were voting on the wording to move to a public hearing.
Well, it seems like we have to fix it one way or the other.
So do we need to re-vote on it?
Well, it's gonna take another
Revote on what? It, there's already 2 yeses.
past. Yeah.
It passed.
Quorum.
No public comment, please.
Well, let's just, I want to table B, and why don't you call MTA and explain to them what we were doing, and you find out, not from the book, but from one of their associates.
Some legal.
I called and they explained it. But if you would like them to tell them what happened, and you see what happened. But I'm not, we can't vote on B.
And we've gone through this before. The meeting minutes must be approved or whatever, okay, markups approved, read on during this meeting. We've tried to do that before, is table it. And the MTA said, no, they have to be finished and during this meeting, the following meeting.
Well, then we need to change motion failed to motion passed. And then we can vote on it.
Mhm.
And I'll make the motion that we accept the minutes as written, except for number 2B, motion, instead of motion failed, motion passed.
That's why I review that again. It's not right.
Cool. Then. I'll second it.
Let's see.
Are you ready?
A second.
So.
But
I understand what you're saying.
But, okay, I mean, I guess if you want to. Because we didn't have the meeting, we didn't have the public notice go out either though now. So, I mean, we've acted as though the motion did not pass. Because the motion was to have the meeting on 4/13/2026. So that motion that was made was not acted upon. I guess, I mean, you're saying you want to have the wording changed to, your motion is to have the wording changed that on 2B that it passed.
Correct.
There. These are your minutes, right?
Yes,
And we gave a motion. To pass all the minutes except for.
Yep.
B, right?
well, we still would have, we have to submit the meeting minutes today.
Correct.
So we do have a motion, we have a second. We can vote to have them approved with the change from failed to pass. We can vote on that, so.
All right, so we have a motion on the table. It's been seconded. We need to do a roll call on it. Ashke?
No,
Yes. Gary? Butcher?
Yes.
Yes. All right, it's passed.
Is there any more discussion on this?
So discussion about. Should you sign that, Ed?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna move on to citizen comment, or public comment, I should say. Do we have any public comment at this time?
Yeah, did something. It helps me understand what's going on with 4296. And that's you guys to kind of follow this. So on the left side is my questions, on the right side.
Gerald,
current
you're doing a time. Go
My
ahead.
name's Ken Weber, 4138 North Lake Road. And like I said, on the right side is the ordinance as far as I know from Millington Township. And I kind of want to roll through this with 4296 Murphy Lake Road. Back in 30 August 2024, it was not sold yet, but it was a residential single family home. So that's part of our ordinance. 17th of October, Capro bought it. There are leasing companies that provide the behavioral health provided community. So they lease properties like this, they buy them and lease them out. This one ended up somewhere between 17th of October when they bought it, 18th of October through 10th of August, roughly. Beacon Specialized Living must have taken it over. They renovated it into a healthcare facility. I don't know where that ends up in our ordinance here on the right. They hired employees to run the healthcare facility. It's not the business. I don't know where in our ordinance it says that there's a business besides agribusiness activities. I don't think there's an agribusiness. So right there, it's healthcare. 11 August 2025, that's when the first police report came through that Alberto, one of the residents there, or consumers, whatever they want to call them, ran away and was up here at Bo's. That's where they found it. In the police report, they actually called it Beacon Specialized Living. There's no other documentation besides Capro bought the place, but the police report said Beacon Specialized Living is the one actually running the place. So on their website, they say they're for profit in residential healthcare. Sound like it's a business. Is it an ag business? That's in our permitted ordinances. I don't know. Provides specialized residential for adult foster cares in licensed and unlicensed settings. We know there's no license. We went to Laura, there's no license for that address. In our ordinance, it says state licensed residential facilities for 6 or fewer residents is the only thing that's will be permitted in this agricultural residential zone. I don't understand why the unlicensed can function here. It's not permitted supposedly in here. This place that we know, actually one of the write-ups, one of the guys that actually escaped to make the Bows, he's schizophrenic. We know that they also handle chronic mental illness at this facility. Then going down to the bottom there, the state law says there's adult foster cares or homes for the aged must be licensed. And then the dark blue there, that's where this statement comes in that there's, if you got 4 or less in our community mental health facilities, you can run without a license. But it also says that there's supposed to be some CMH resident client, or there's supposed to be a CMH monitor that's supposed to monitor those clients. So I guess I was just wondering is how does this agricultural residential district ordinance allow this to be open here? The zoning administrator, it says legally they can. I don't see it. And I was hoping you guys understood the document better than I do. Can you guys help understand this too? And
This place is being leased then by this company, right?
yep,
And it was sold to, you said they renovated it?
yep, we've seen a dumpster out there for months.
You know if any permits were drawn though?
Not that I know of. So I mean, there are a lot of things with this place that just popped up. Our first thing was when they were looking for Alberto at our house later in December. That's all we got. So I hope that helps maybe with your next new business thing. I don't know if there's anything with the ordinance.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? State your name first. I don't think it's in.
Sonia Schwarzenegger, 4138, Toronto. Wife of Ken Weber, we have different last names, it's confusing, but yes, we are married. And I'm going to propose a scenario here. I'm considering developing a new business in Millington Township, and I'm trying to determine if new building construction or existing, or using an existing building would be best. I'm considering this new business to be a facility that cares for up to from 2 to 4 adults, in which the state of Michigan allows it to operate without a license. I plan to hire 6 to 12 people to run the day-to-day business. Can you, as people knowledgeable of our township ordinance, could you please tell me which Millington zoning districts would I be allowed to operate in? With my brief description, would I be allowed to operate in agricultural residential, R1, lake residential, multifamily residential, manufactured home, commercial, or industrial? I'd kind of like to know a yes or no in each of those categories. And could you please cite, or in black and white, show me where in the ordinance your answer to support your answer to be yes or no? I don't expect an answer tonight, but I think you get the gist of my question, my line of questioning. I'd like to understand what in our township ordinances allows such business, and where, in which ordinance paragraphs apply. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, good evening, Steve Lay, 7600 Osborne Drive. I have more of a question. I don't know if you can answer it. I'm just really curious about, and then I also have some information, but I'm very curious about what's going on with the what's being termed here old ordinances. I see in old business, and that's going to be voted on, action item C. We have 2-01, not 09-1, and 10-1 and 10-2. Okay. Well, I'm not certain of the first 3, but I am familiar with 10-2. And if it's not here in the ordinance, so right here, this is our current ordinance, as you guys all know where that, but it's not 10.02. Okay. It's not 10.02. This is 10-2. And is that the standalone ordinance? Am I to understand that these old ordinances were like 10-2, which is a private road ordinance, was enacted back in 2010, in between this thing being updated? Okay, so we had like a 24, and then in 2010 we had an amendment on the private road 10-2, and then we had 2020. This again got updated. And I talked to the former supervisor and other people, and they tell me that's a standalone ordinance. It was amended, but it failed to get incorporated or copied into, if you will, or whatever. So I'm asking, are these the standalone ordinances, of which, I mean, they're not titled, okay? It says 10-2. And if that's the 10-2, that's the private ordinance, the private road ordinance that was enacted in, I think, January of 2010. It should have been carried forward when this was redone. There was a hearing. We paid for a hearing. We had an amendment, and it was a new amendment to our adoption. But if it doesn't get carried forward, is it truly what we're talking about here? That now, because they're Adam Young or someone's looked at them, that we're doing away with them? Someone needs to answer me that question. If it's 10-2, the private road ordinance, if it isn't, then I stand, I'm just looking for information. But if it is, we paid for that ordinance amendment. And I don't know how, just because of clerical errors, because one person was trying to do way too much many years ago, it would be dropped. So can anyone answer that question? Mr. Maskey, you seem to be the one that's working on this.
And
You
it,
haven't hardly looked at me at all.
no, I'm reading it and it's,
It is it is the
so
private
Steve,
road
Steve, what
ordinance.
I can give you is when we go through the old, you'll receive the information as we go through the old ordinance review here. I'll get more information from, we're not abandoning it. I'll guarantee you that, okay? We're not abandoning it.
But it
So,
looks like it is. If it's the private road and down here, we're
No.
gonna vote on it, it says
Sure.
close old ordinance and it's listed.
we're not abandoning it.
So if you were me, you would think you are. And if you do, I don't know how you could do that with any of them, because like I said, the taxpayers paid for those, so because of clerical errors, which we have many. They need to be carried forward, they don't get deleted.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only ones that we have deleted are ones that were written over on top of those. So there'd be these that were written.
Correct. I think
And
you're right.
amended,
I've been
and
trying
then
to
we
follow
had-
along.
right, and then we've had other ones that got amended, there was amendment done after that.
I believe you're right.
So these
That
get
that were
jumped.
more current, but I'm not seeing that where this would be affected, so. I'm not sure what your statement is, Mr. Maskey.
It'll be made more clear once we get to the
Okay,
actual.
well,
review.
there's litigation on that issue as well, so.
To the right of that, it said on 4/6/26, per feedback from Adam Young, this is a police power ordinance.
Right,
It should not be included within the planning commission zoning ordinance.
well, what does that mean? Because I don't understand what a police power ordinance. Really would, I mean,
So again, Steve, I think it'll become more clear once we get into that business area for you.
well, I hope so. Because I don't know what the police would have to do with a private road ordinance amendment. Thank you.
Is there anyone else but the public comment? Okay, we're gonna move on, guys, to new business. Ready, Ed?
Yep.
Possible ordinance amendments to address the CMH facility concerns. The new business, it's the only new business we have right now.
So, Doyle, you're the only one since you didn't have email, this way to have this latest document,
You mean all this?
no, this, that. So
Do you want me to read the feedback that we got on that? Everyone?
it's actually in this, if you want to read it off this, if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Get this, there's a copy for everyone. I know you guys received it through our emails.
Well, let you know.
I mean, this is attorney, the only thing, Alvin's up to you, but this is
Attorney privilege.
attorney-client privilege could be. That's why I wasn't sure if we wanted to review the whole thing.
Well, we can at least talk about it.
Yes, we can definitely talk about it. So,
Did you guys have a chance to read this? Yeah. Yeah.
so I guess I'll give a synopsis of what we did. Was actually last Friday, knowing this was coming up, I was had approval from Robert Loomis to contact our attorney to try to get the exact wording that's in our ordinances that allows a CMH facility in our township, okay? So I basically sent out an email to the attorney to give us feedback. The attorney has given us feedback. And they basically say that what allows it is that they are using a resident or a family dwelling for this facility. So under section 5.01B is approved for our township. That's coming from the attorney, okay? That's coming from the attorney. He also states that the facility described in MCL 400.703, section 4, section K, which is a residential use of private property and for which no special use permit requirement may be imposed, is a private residence with the capacity to receive at least one but not more than 4 adults who all receive benefits from the Community Mental Health Services Program. If local community mental health service program monitors the service being delivered in a residential setting. So in short, our attorney is saying he used section 5.01B as the approval because that approves a single family dwelling. And per the MCL 400.703, section 4K, we cannot impose any special use permit requirement. That is what our council is directing us. That's how our council is directing us.
Basically, it's saying there's not a damn thing we can do about it.
And that's what they're saying, and
And
it's,
so the problem I have is I must have a stack of papers this big now, trying to make heads or tails of everything. With the ordinance changes, this and that. I just want, what are the ordinance right now? Okay, what they state. The other thing I guess I had, because I'm not happy about this as well, I mean, it's right in my backyard, is how did it go from someone purchasing the property to leasing it? Now, who's the company leasing it? Did the company that's leasing it, did they get any permits or have to get any permits to go ahead and state, hey, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. Why don't we do this? In fact, I'm thinking of turning, let my kids live at my house and they're gonna start a business with this. I mean, to me, it seems like the ball has been dropped or somewhere along the way where they should have been obligated to at least apply for a permit. We're talking about a business, not the residential people who actually own it. And so, why I don't like this, because I understand what he's saying with this, is he of the impression that it is being leased? Or is he of the impression that it's the original owner?
he's saying that per is what's described in MCL 400.734, that we can't put on any restrictions. I don't necessarily say agree, I totally hate it, to be honest with you.
See, I don't think they're
But
patients of the state. I think they're individuals that actually can live on their own. So they're not residents. I think what they are is they're renting them rooms with assistance there.
But there's a business that's in charge of it.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think where the hangup is and how they figured out a way to get around the townships is they're just renting them a room with people in there. And that's why the attorney is saying that we can't do anything about it. So I think each individual has the right to come and go as they please. They can't stop them. I don't think they're a resident in there.
Do we
That's
know
why
that?
the attorney's
Do
saying
we know
this.
that though?
But how do
That
you
they-
find
that
it
they
out?
can't- That they can't leave.
That's
They
probably, I would think, why law enforcement didn't arrest them or do anything to them.
they call them elopements. They have a term for it. When they leave, it's called elopement. That's leaving without notification. So it doesn't sound like they're supposed to leave, according to their own documentation.
I'm just saying, I don't understand, I'm with you guys. I don't quite understand how the attorney came to this, but I know that the attorney's feedback to us was, there's nothing we can do with it.
right,
So
and
it
that's
needs to go back to the township board. The township board needs to figure out how they want to address us.
I guess what I'm saying here, though, Ed, you're the one that contacted the attorney here?
yes, through,
When I read through this, everything is residential. He's not talking about anything with the business at all,
No, but he knows that they're CMH.
yes, he knows that they're.
He knows they're CMH, and he knows the property is being leased by a different company than the owner of the property.
I mean, the goal was, Mr. Weber came with a proposal ordinance amendment that we felt we could protect our community.
Right.
And, yes, and that's, that I agree with that. I wanted that. But what we're getting back from our attorney is we may not impose those items.
may,
Well,
not shall.
well, so where it's at is for our group to go through and all the process of modifying the ordinances, this I feel needs to really be taken out of our hands first to say if that work is even worthwhile.
It needs to go back to the township board.
Board,
They need
yes.
to give us direction on how they want us to handle this.
Yeah.
The township board, because at the end of the day, no matter what we draft, they still have to.
Right, so, I
They
mean,
have to accept.
I would love to draft it,
So I'm
don't,
asking if you could take it back to the township board and ask them how they would like for us to proceed with this. That we have concerned residents that want something done with it.
Well, my concern with it is where do you stop? You know, do we regulate CMAs? Do we incorporate bad foster kids in that? If they get away? You know, do we regulate foster homes?
Falls in the same premise.
I don't know. I don't like the idea. I feel very sympathetic of you guys. You gotta live near this. But
It could be next June next.
Yeah,
yeah,
And according to this, you can do nothing.
correct.
That doesn't make sense.
Well,
No, not necessarily, well, this board, I think we need to give the board. Come up with a motion, we'll have to give the board that we need an answer.
if we, because for us to go through and rewrite our ordinance, or draft it, and then say, well, it's
That's
not
what this
permitted.
body is for.
Yes.
That overall board is for deciding
Yes,
yes or no.
but I don't, to me, for us to go through all that process and then the attorney's saying, according to that MLC, we can't do it.
What was that number again?
MLC 400.703, section 4, section K. What do you
Section
mention?
4, section 1.
K.
Okay, that one, okay.
God, can I ask something? Even if it's a business,
It,
can we in residential, when you, our ordinance saying.
Henry, I'm right with you.
Right.
I don't understand how,
In home-based business.
yeah, it could be.
yeah, I'm flabbergasted.
Be the next purchase on Murphy Lake.
Yeah,
The zoning administrator, the enforcement administrator went out there and she went through the whole process and come back and said that they were violating any ordinances.
Because
This board don't have an answer for you. We don't do.
no, I agree. I'm just asking. You guys know, I'm clearly on the ordinances. Our ordinances does not allow that.
I'm on that same
The only
page.
thing I can think of is they're.
Currently, the state does.
Right, and I think they're looked at as they're renting a room from them.
Still.
Maybe your attorney has another opinion too.
Yeah, it's.
Right.
Business, even, because our ordinances do not allow that in residential.
I don't understand why the attorney come back.
So, but where it's at is, from our standpoint, yes, we want to update the ordinance. But our attorney is saying, no, you can't.
He's
So
saying we can't inflict any.
we can't inflict anything. So with that, we
was what he
need
come back
to,
and said.
well, I agree with Larry. Our ordinances say no businesses in agricultural and residential. This is a commercial business. And it belongs in commercial or industrial. That's where our ordinances have them. And that's where they belong.
You have outside investors, like you said.
We're not disagreeing.
we're not disagreeing,
We're not disagreeing.
but for us to go through, to me, all the work
Right,
and then, we need to have the other board determine what we can do with our attorney.
Makes sense.
I mean,
I'm right there with you guys, okay?
I understand too that you guys. If you guys had come up with something, I guess I wanna read through this section 703 to see what it says too. I didn't know what they were going by.
I encourage you guys to go back to the township meeting. And discuss your concerns about where it went here.
Yeah.
I encourage you guys to. do
I
that.
mean, this is not the way I want it to go.
Everything I found in CMH though, I find that they're supposed to follow federal, state. And
And local.
local ordinances, local laws, everything
That
I
ain't-
found. they're supposed to
That's
follow.
ain't what our
even in the state, if I go to state.
Attorney says something different and the
CMA.
county administrator,
It says you have to follow local law.
she said there was nothing, they weren't violating them.
Go ahead.
Well, I disagree with that.
I disagree.
They've got a business in a residential area. It is a commercial business. It's right here. In black and white, a commercial business. And it does not belong in the residential or the agricultural or the lake residential. It belongs in the commercial
Don't worry, we'll be.
and the industrial.
Go ahead, I'm gonna allow it.
Thank you. Is it possible to get a second legal opinion?
And that's what the other board really should
It's
work
something
on.
that the Township board have to-
Yeah.
I think reading through this.
That's a must.
That's
That's a must.
That's a must.
Alright, so
That would be our,
Gary wants us to come up with a motion for him to.
no,
present
no,
to the
we'd
Township
have to do the motion in the action items, and I got one drafted, so we'll.
All right, so we're gonna move on to old business now.
Okay, so old business, old ordinance amendments review. So probably to bring everyone up, it was over a year and a half ago, the zoning administrator brought us a packet of all the old ordinances. It went all the way back to some 1974, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, okay?
You're right on that.
And we wanted to make sure that ideally, the situation should be when you write an ordinance amendment, the next time you update the ordinance, it is rolled into that new ordinance, okay? So we want to make sure when we went through all these old ones that it did happen. And that's what I've been reviewing and bringing them up. So now that we've are wrapping up the say 8 last ones, one of them we actually had is still an open ordinance, and it was with the property where the salt brine company is. That was marked on our zoning map as agricultural, yeah, I think it was. And we definitely, but the tax forms and everything was industrial. It needs to be industrial. But the map was wrong. So I contacted Adam Young on that from Wade Trim. Meanwhile, I talked about some of these other ones, and then Steve, I could have brought that email. There, when we say ordinance, there's what the police power ordinance is actually what is drafted by the township board. That includes things like the ordinances, whatever, for the cemetery, ordinances for the roads. They do not ever get rolled into the actual ordinance because they are different. They are police power ordinance, okay? Even though they have the ordinance name as part of the title, but they do not, they should not, according to Adam Young, and he's done this for years. They don't actually, that verbiage, you don't copy and bring it into our zoning ordinance. They're a separate standalone document up here at the township board. Okay. So what we're doing is when we say, I want to close it, I'm trying not close that ordinance up here. I'm saying we went through, and I had an Excel sheet. We went through the 20-some ordinances, and our work is closing it out.
See, that's what I don't get. Here's a new guy on the board. Here's the ordinance. This is what it goes. So, like when you're writing a student handbook, okay, you have a student handbook, everybody has, and they have to have prior knowledge of it. It has to be
Yep.
publicized, it has to be on the website, what have you. And so there's a committee that goes ahead and says, hey, you know what, we'd like to make a recommendation, just like what we do here, and then we pass it to the Board of Education. But we don't put, the board goes ahead and they see the old writing and the new writing, and what the new writing is gonna look like. You don't keep onto it or hang on to it for every single year back from. That's erroneous to me. I mean, it's like, it's just, I don't care about 20 years ago. I want to know what it says right now. And then we go forward, and then I would even say, if we're gonna make changes to ordinance, that everything should be done at in a 1 month period where people get together or committee gets together and said, okay, this is how we
So-
like, and then we present this to the board.
So the current Millington zoning ordinance was amended January 2020. If you actually look at the wording, that should repeal any zoning ordinance amendment. Now, again, some of these items that we've listed, they're not actually zoning ordinances.
So
They're police power ordinances. They're
another way
different.
of saying that then is what we follow is the 2020 booklet of ordinances that has been established by the board.
Yes,
We're getting ready to do an update, so that's why we're trying to get all these done, because when we do, everything will be rolled into the new update.
Right.
And then everything can move forward, and then everything that's amended after that won't be pulled into the book until we do another update. They stay outside of the book.
but again, if you have, these police power ordinance are more like policies.
Yeah.
Okay, versus an ordinance. And they are a separate document.
Does he have a public hearing? Adam?
They did when they wrote them, yes. Yes, when they wrote them, they went through the process of, the notice and everything.
And it doesn't say anything about a Bryan company. It's Township Private Road Ordinance 10-2. Doesn't single any one company out. That's why I don't understand how the taxpayer paid for a hearing across the board, across the township, and we can just do away with it because it didn't get carried forward. I don't
No,
understand.
we're not doing away with it.
All
We're
right,
saying it's not this board's responsibility. That document does not get rolled into the zoning ordinance because it is a police power ordinance. It's a different whole set of.
what are we doing here with the action item? Why is that say close it? What does that mean?
We don't have any work to do on it. We're closing our work.
It was given to us to go through to make sure we weren't supposed to do anything with it.
Right.
Oh,
Because of the new,
Okay.
for she's looking for clarification.
right, he's just putting under that, we're done.
We're done with it. We don't
Doesn't
need
have
to make
anything to
it,
do
we
with
don't
this
need to do any
Not
work
doing
on
away
it.
with any of those.
No.
All right, gotcha.
See, that's what it looks like.
Oh, no.
No, we're not.
No, we're
closed. The terminology.
Well, we're just, because we went through them, there's no actions that we need to take.
So they're calling it a police ordinance. It won't be indoctrinated into the ordinance.
Correct.
And it's still there.
It's still there.
It's still there.
There's still a township rules
Yes,
and
yes.
policies. Thank you.
Is that going to be in the, like, where the policies are? Is that what that means?
They keep them up here, there's a section, they got them.
It's on the website.
And 10-2 is on, now, there's some of them that are not,
That's what I was saying.
okay? There's some of them that are not that should be, okay?
They wanted to be part of our policy.
But they don't go into the zoning ordinance document.
That's the dash.
Okay.
Okay. So again, as we go through this, go through the item A, 1801. Definitely, Adam Young said, yep, he'll update that. Get us a new PDF at no cost, and we'll just update these maps up here, and that closes it, okay?
So these without titles, is that what, that's maps, 1801 is maps. Got it.
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
can you do the others when you get to them?
so 13-1, 1 second here. It actually establishes the Office of Ordinance Enforcement Officer and Millington Township, so it's a zoning administrator office. So again, per Adam Young, this ordinance would have been repealed when the 2020 zoning ordinance was adopted. And we do have in our zoning ordinances wording for the zoning administrator. Okay, so he's saying you don't need to do anything with that. Then we get to 02-01, 09-01, 010-01, and 10-2. And that is where Adam Young's saying those are really procedural things for the township, like the cemetery rules and stuff like that.
Is that 201, you think?
Yeah,
All right, what about 1091?
well, two,
Oh,
all four of them.
10-2s are not.
So 10-2 is the construction of private roads. 10-1 is blight ordinance.
Okay.
Let me go. Where'd I go with the other one? Blight ordinance. 9-1 is actually the fire department cost recovery document, okay?
Okay.
So again, all these are really procedural, township procedural items, not something that is a zoning ordinance. Okay. So then we go to the 18-02. That one currently, Adam Young is working with zoning administrator, Tammy, to have that ordinance rolled into our existing, it's gonna be an update 2026 or 2027 update if they do it,
What's that? Corey?
quarrying,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
okay? And then the last one is also dealing with quarrying 18-03. That is already part of the 2020 ordinance. So it should have been closed out already. Okay. That's all we're doing is this wraps up this list. Because by rights, when 18-02 is a good example. When we approved the zoning ordinance in January 2020, that should have repealed 1802. We know we didn't want to do that, okay? What should have really happened is they should have rewrote someone immediately a 2020 ordinance amendment that had the same exact verbiage as 1802. Okay, because that's just it. When you,
Not, not to play dumb here,
Yep.
or be dumb. I typically, this, I'm just asking for prior knowledge.
Yep.
Typically, on a year basis, how many complaint, or how many times do you have people come in here wanting to have, or have you look at an ordinance and think about changing it? On average. I don't know how long you guys have been here, but you've been here longer than I have.
What's your
Not very many.
yeah,
Well, not very many.
Doesn't happen very well.
no.
Maybe.
So, and then when we get down to the action items, I've drafted or wrote down all the wording for the action items, okay?
Well, this,
But that'll be later
are you
though.
done with E?
I'm done with Is there any other discussions that we need for old ordinance
Does
amendments?
anybody have
review?
anything they'd like to talk to? Get your mouths to about over these. What's he going to handle them? Nope. We're gonna move on. The zoning administrator's not here, should go. Unforeseen circumstances, she couldn't make it. Did you guys look at her, zoning permits that she's got out there and stuff? I'm gonna move on to second comment. If that's
Yep.
okay, guys.
Yep.
Second public comment.
I guess I just happen to have the requirements here and that number you gave me, 400.703, you said? K, there's no 4K. And this one here was released in November 3rd, 2025.
I've seen it online today though.
It's not in this one. The only one I found in here was, it goes back to local. So if you can get, you actually found it online, you said?
I could follow it down to where it went. There wasn't a lot of information. Um,
I was just looking through here for 4K even, and there's no 4Ks that I could find. If that's what you have, can you verify again? 400.703?
I think right now it's really up to the attorney and the other board to say we can move forward.
Yeah, the other boards and a half to.
Yeah.
But we gotta understand why he's saying that.
Right.
If it's not in this document, this is the 400.703 that he supposes he's using.
And that is a question that you need to ask the township.
Because then right there, it's 400.609. What's that say? Must obey local, federal and state laws.
I'm not.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I'm sorry, I mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if you want to read it. I mean, I got it highlighted. Everything I've been finding, it's gotta, they're supposed to abide by it. And that's the
Yeah.
first time I heard that.
Yes.
703 says you guys can't do anything about it. I'm like, everything it's seen, it's local, that's you guys.
This board, the other board.
Yeah.
Right, well, you guys can do the ordinance, but if it's
Yeah.
getting stopped because the lawyer says there's something in here that's not in here,
Well,
going through the other board, I understand. So, yeah, I'm
that's one lawyer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to try to verify the number. So if you're saying 703 4K, right? If you want to verify one more time.
Yep. 703, 4, and another section K. So if you look at 4, there is an area that I found today. We can talk offline if you want, but I found the K under it, but it didn't have a lot of information.
So that way he can
Yeah.
go with the.
Yeah,
Yeah, if we can talk.
you know, want to work with you. I mean, it's-
Well, I want you guys all to have information.
Any other second public night?
Just real quick, Steve Lay again, 7,600. I agree with what Mr. Beers said about, like, student handbooks and that. Get everything out front right away. I liked it 10-2, and you said, Mr. Massey, you didn't think some of the others that aren't being repealed aren't on the website, and that's just want to encourage this board to make sure that anything that isn't in the in the ordinances, that's still police,
right.
that it gets online.
Yep.
And other than that, thank you for your time.
And I have no problem with what we just did. According to our procedure, you're only supposed to speak once in public comment, I think, but no, I'm okay.
Different topic.
Different topic.
So I
Okay.
was talking.
Okay, good. I'm just trying to, I'm not,
And he was speaking to that MCL, so.
okay, maybe we can work, you know where I'm at. Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the action items. And the first one is possible ordinance amendment to the Justice CMH facility concerns. You said that you had.
Yep. So I would like to make a motion that the Millington Planning Commission take no action to amend our ordinance regarding CMH facilities due to the feedback from our attorney as follows. The facility described in MLC 400.703 Section 4, Section K, which is a residential use of property and for which no special use permit requirement may be imposed. As a private resident with the capacity to receive at least one, not more than 4 adults who all receive benefits from a community mental health service program. If local community mental health service program monitors the service being delivered in the resident setting. That's the end of the motion. Basically, it's saying we're taking no action, and I gave the reason why we're taking no action.
But you're gonna motion. Right.
And it goes to the board.
Yeah, motion goes to the board. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna make a second one for that. So I want to break it.
All right, so I'm gonna second that motion. Now that I firmly understand what we're doing here.
Yep.
Does everybody on the board understand? what
No,
he's doing?
I don't, yeah, you get,
He's making a motion currently right now for us not to take any action on this.
okay,
And then we're going to address a motion in verbiage to give to Cook to go back to the township board from Arnold.
Okay.
This is just to say that we're not acting on this, and the reason why is
Got it.
because
all right, thank
our
you.
attorney told us not.
Second, you're a second?
Yes.
Third, all right, good.
All right, any other
Discussion?
deliberation, discussion? Fletcher,
No,
Roger,
Come back to me.
Cook,
Yes.
Savage, yes, Maskey,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm clear again. So that. Can you read the motion to me one more time?
Yep. I make a motion that the planning commission take no action to amend our ordinance
Yes,
regarding,
yes,
all right, so we're done. All right. I think we need a
Okay,
motion.
so-
Just come up some, go ahead.
so I also would like to make a second motion on this topic. Okay, I make a motion to have Mr. Cook review the township, review with the township board, the planning commission's decision on the CMH facility and provide additional direction if needed. So you'd be taking it back to that board saying, we feel we can't do anything based on what the attorney has given us. What do we do to try to move forward? Or can't we, right?
Send me that motion, and I'll discuss it with that.
Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll support it.
All right, we have a support, any other deliberation?
I don't understand why we're not enforcing our ordinances.
It's not up to us to do the enforcement, Mrs.
Nowhere in there. Does it say, does he say, that lawyer say anything about the different zones?
He's saying that we can't act in zoning enforcement, we can't come up with anything to enforce.
And Doyle, it's not our responsibility to enforce the
No,
ordinances.
that's the zoning administrator's
We write
responsibility
them.
and the township board to make sure that if there's complaints coming in, it's being handled.
She works under our direction.
No, she works under the township board's direction.
She brings us information.
She takes the information to them and they tell her what to do.
Uh,
She assists us with the ordinances.
No, she doesn't. She's taken over this committee.
I'm not arguing with you, buddy. But we can sit here.
Here's
and come up
another
with-
map.
we can sit here and come up with an amendment to the ordinance and go through the whole thing and
Why do we have to amend anything? We've already got it all in black and white.
and-
You cannot have a
and then-
commercial business in a residential or agricultural
And
area.
then you need to go to next week's meeting and tell the township board that they need to enforce our current ordinances. They need to
Alright.
hear that.
Because the attorney said in that
The
document,
attorney told us we
we
can't.
can't do it.
Well, that's Tammy's attorney. So
And-
I don't put this much.
And I encourage you to go to the township board and talk to them about your concerns that already in our current ordinances, you feel that there's enforcement to be done out there. They're in violation of our current ordinances.
And they are.
I encourage you to go to the township board for them to
All right.
direct Ms. Stenzer to do enforcement with our current ordinance.
Okay.
We got a motion, we got it seconded. For verbiage to go back to the township board with Mr. Cook on this matter. I'd like to do a roll call, Maskey,
Yes.
Fletcher,
Yes.
Savage, yeah.
Yep.
All right, there we go.
Okay. So now we'll go on to, and again, I guess I use poor wording there, but close old ordinance, close our work on the ordinance. Okay. So for 10 point, sorry, I can't even read, for 18.01. I make a motion to have Wade Trim provide an updated digital copy PDF of our zoning map with the two additional parcels marked as industrial.
That's your motion?
Yep.
I second it. Are you gonna do each one of these individually?
Yeah, we'll go through them individually.
We're gonna motion each one of them?
Yep.
All right. I got a motion on the table, I got a second. Is there any other deliberation? If not, roll call, Fletcher,
Yes,
Mansky,
Yes,
Savage,
Yes.
Yes,
motion carried, right?
yep, motion carried.
Okay, 13-1. I make a motion to mark old ordinance 13-1 as inactive due to being repealed when the 2020 zoning ordinance was adopted.
support,
Any other deliberation on it, discussion? Viewers? Tripp,
yes,
Savage, Fletcher, Mansky.
Yes.
yes,
Mayor, did you say that?
Yes.
He said yes, all yeses, motion carried.
Okay. Item C, I make a motion that the planning commission takes no action on old ordinance. On old. One second. How I wrote that, I want to add some verbiage to it. Old police power ordinance. O 2-1
01.
09-1 10-1 and 10-2 because they are police power ordinance and should not be included within the planning commission zoning ordinance.
Support. Any other deliberation?
No. Yes,
Yes.
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 yes,
Carries.
Yep, next is D. I make a motion for the planning commission to take no action for old ordinance 18-02 due to the zoning administrator working with Wade Trim on amendments related to the quarrying.
support,
Say that one more time.
I make a motion that the planning commission take no action for old ordinance 18-02.
Okay, thank you.
I don't understand. I thought we were supposed to write the ordinances and the amendments. That's what our obligation is. So why is Tammy Denzer writing this?
As the zoning administrator, she can draft it and then present it to us, and then we can go through it, and we can either approve the draft as presented, or we can make changes to the draft presented to us. And then from there, we can
she,
do a public meeting on it, public hearing.
So currently, the township board has directed the zoning administrator to work with the Wade Trim, Adam Young on the ordinances for the gravel pit and for the ordinance for signs. Once Wade Trim comes up with his draft, we will then go through our procedures of public comments or public hearings. And then
That's when we approve.
that's when we would approve
Or
it.
disapprove, right?
Yes,
And we can make changes to
And
it
make changes.
yes.
off of the public feedback.
Okay.
Any more discussion needed?
Mr. Fletcher?
Well, I'm gonna lose anyway, so whatever. I think we need to go into that section and we need to do it.
we can,
We'll,
we
Then
will,
why aren't we?
we will,
Well,
come to us.
when it comes to us, when the township board directs us to do it.
Why do we gotta wait for the township board to direct us to do it? we write this stuff, we're supposed to review this stuff.
Yeah, and it
And
is,
make corrections to it.
But currently, if you was to read the current zoning ordinance on that section, is there anything in there you would change?
A lot.
You know, when it comes back, when the township board directs us to do something with it, then we will go through it. We'll go through with what they bring us to.
So in other words, it's whatever Tammy Benzer decides.
It's what the township board told us to do.
Whatever. I had it.
All right, we had a motion.
We still have authority to vote yes or no, no.
once it's finally written, it will come through us.
Us, and you have the opportunity to go through it and have a comment. Opportunity to actually make changes to it. All right, we're gonna do roll call. Good,
Yes.
that's just
No.
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay, item E, the last one then. I make a motion that old ordinance 18-03 is marked as inactive / repealed due to already being implemented into the existing ordinance.
You have a number on the existing.
Say that again.
I make a motion that old ordinance should say old ordinance amendment 18-03 be marked as inactive / repealed due to already being implemented into the existing ordinance. So
Which is what ordinance?
July 2020. So when this list was brought to us a year and a half ago, this one shouldn't even been on the list because it was already put into our
I
updates,
remember that. Yeah.
okay? So it's like, but all we're trying to do is we have this list to make sure we've done our due diligence and say that we can mark it as inactive. That ordinance doesn't have any power anymore. Ordinance amendment.
You don't know the new number though, how it got in, where it got infused. In the ordinances. The verb.
You'd have to research that.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that put
that's
in
kinda what it means.
1802?
18-303.
Yeah, but wasn't that? We had an ordinance that we combined. Because it was repetitive.
So the verbiage, I went through and I made sure the verbiage that was in 18-03 is in our existing ordinance. Steve, and I apologize, I don't know, to rattle off the exact
Okay,
spot.
but you checked it.
I did check it, okay? I mean, I did just,
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's your motion?
Yep.
Just for 1802 is gonna be going into section 5.3. So would that be the section it's going into?
probably
It's
when,
already in?
you're talking for D. I'm talking for E right now. So the verbiage that was in 18-03 is in our existing ordinance.
But it might be in 5.03, like you said. No.
Yeah, just for clarification, for everyone, the 18-02 or 18-03. 18 means that the zoning ordinance amendment was brought up in year 2018. 02 means it's the second one for that year. 03 means it's the third one. It has nothing to do with any location in our zoning ordinance.
Yeah, makes sense.
Hope that helped. Any other discussion?
At the end of it there, it says to determine no report of 2021, however, not sure why this ordinance is actually referenced in the 2020 ordinance. Since it appears that its content was placed into the ordinance.
Yeah, and those were like I say, those were my notes as I was going through these. And I mean, if you look at that that Excel document, I highlight in ordinance 2020, yes, no, yes, it was already in there, okay? So I went through and checked the verbiage.
All right, so we got a motion and a second it.
We have a second?
I just second it.
Okay. Yes.
Patrick,
Yes,
Savage, yes.
Yes,
Yes, no.
Yeah,
Motion goes.
Will change to the agenda or action items. Yeah, I would like section 14.11 to be put on to next month's agenda. The so that we can schedule a hearing next month, or yes, schedule a public hearing next month.
Okay.
or do we put it on the agenda to, because we got to vote on it again.
So what do we gotta vote on?
Because the wording of the motion said that we would have the meeting on 4/13. Today's 4/13. But we didn't have that meeting.
Right, so now we gotta do some clerical fixing and we gotta put it back on the agenda. And we
for next month.
need to continue forward.
I'm abstaining from this. Discussion, from this discussion. So, you guys are gonna have to.
I would like to have it put back on the agenda for next month to discuss it more, because right now there's a lot of information that's not fresh in our minds and we didn't plan on discussing since it was not on the agenda for today.
That's kind of what's in it.
Not to have the public hearing, but put it on. Okay, yeah,
We need to,
okay,
it needs to be on the agenda.
so,
We can
yep,
Continue forward.
so that then we can have a public hearing.
yeah.
You made a motion on second. All those in favor, no.
We're standing.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
So okay, so the motion is that we. I wanna make sure. Is we. Put section 14-11 prohibited structures. On the meeting agenda for next meeting.
that's, yep.
That's all we're doing. Okay. I'll vote yes for that.
So your motion
Motion
carries.
carried.
All right, so we're done with the action items? Anything else?
I have board report.
We didn't put that in. Hey, we gotta make sure we put board.
Board report on it.
The board waived the escrow fee for American Auto. So that you can go to public hearing,
Oh,
however, then. Look,
you need to do your application.
and we've already discussed that we went over. We discussed some of the changes from the sign ordinance and the gravel pit ordinance. And we just tabled that, we didn't do anything with it. No update on the planning commission appointment. The planning commission chart, this document that came up. And we discussed it, or it says no discussion, but tabled it. And I guess we're going to have a hearing date to be set at a later date. Um. Oh, we passed a contingency fund because we did not have the budget done. And then we tried to set another contingency fund. And we did that for one day, and then we came back and voted the budget in, because the lawyer said we need to vote it in. The writing in that, the bold print that was mistaken in the paper was not sufficient enough of a mistake not to have a budget. So he said to approve the budget as is. And we're keeping Carrie on for one more year to help Jackson.
Thank you,
And
Mr.
that
Cook.
order.
Thank you, Mr. Cook.
I have one other item on, May 13th. There is a MTA workshop, planning and zoning review. I think it'd be worthwhile. I think it's drawn, look at the times, I'll have it on this sheet. It's like from 8 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon. I recommend people try to attend it. I'm sure the board is going to approve the funding for it. We need to sign up 3 weeks prior to get the early bird rate. Save us at
One
least,
in Franklin.
yeah, it's in Franklin.
What's the date on that again?
The May 13th. So if people are interested, you should contact Carrie and she'll sign us up for it.
Gary?
Jackie.
Jackie, what do you go, Carrie? I was
We
doing
have
pool,
somebody new.
I was doing pool league stuff today and we got a Carrie.
What is it, from 8 to what?
I'm saying it's like by 8 to. Oh, actually says, mm, registration for dinner begins at 4. I'm sure it's all day. I got an email on it I can send out to everyone too, so. Does say classes held from 5 to 8 p.m. So it is later. Now that I'm reading through this again. Yep, registration and dinner begins at 4 p.m. Classes held from 5 to 8 p.m.
Will you send me that link, please?
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mansky. Anything else?
Me too, as well.
Yep,
Is that all you got, Mr. Mansky?
yep.
Anybody else got anything? Next meeting. 11th of May. Thank you, Mr. Cook. May 11th.
We're at.
Anybody have anything you want to do before I adjourn? I'm gonna motion we adjourn.
Second.
All the aides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't say what you're saying.
I agree with you.
Whatever he said, or since, yeah, I don't want that.
I mean, because that was one thing I looked at what we wrote in his email. And I tried to find that same verbiage.
Right, it's just listed as that, it's not a. Well,
Right.
it doesn't say.
Yes.
Yep.